Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, Classics, Last and Known Classics. This is episode number 1720 and Doubleshot number 1614. I have two more trades. First one's digital one, physical to digital. First one is basically talking about a crossover that, well, the crossover that came before this one is, well, talked about as one of the worst crossovers Marvel ever did. But do people talk about this one? This is Avengers / Iron Man. First Sign. Yes, an event that was released just prior to Onslaught. Well, for the Avengers anyways. Yes, this book contains Captain America 449, Thor 496, Iron Man 326 331, and Avengers 396 to 400. Now let me show you the back of the book. That is the Wasp. If you're curious though, why the heck does the Wasp look like this? That is due to the events of the Crossing. That is the only reason for it. Also, Thor. Yes, Thor is running around shirtless. Yeah, it's explained in this book thanks to like basically kind of the way this is a follow-up to like three different storylines. You have the Crossing, which talk about that. World War Gone. World Engine, which basically had Thor lose his powers, and Operation Rebirth, which is done by Mark Waid. Yes. Waid himself would just do, for this book anyways, he did the Captain America issue, which he was the writer of the book at the time. Yes. Mostly put in the case of the First Sign issues, you first start off with the Captain America issue 449. Yeah, we have Cap basically questioning S.H.I.E.L.D. of why the heck they've been lying to him the whole time. And it goes nowhere. Because as soon as after this, they deal with the threat of the Zodiac. Yep, the Zodiac. They're the main villains of this very small crossover. And then we lead into Thor. Where you have Thor here, wearing his pants, carrying his hammer, but no powers anymore. Nope, no powers. You're probably thinking, where's his shirt? Where's his helmet? Read, basically World Engine. Because apparently there's no magic in the hammer anymore. And then we lead into the part 2, which is Thor 496. And he goes like, why did you not got anymore? Well, they apparently don't really go into that much at all. Also, he is sleepy with the Enchantress. Something the Enchantress have wanted to do since the 60s. So, at least at the rate of this book... By the way, who wrote the Thor issue? William Messner-Lebs wrote this one. Yes, William Messner-Lebs. He must have come here just after his run for Wonder Woman and Flash. So, yeah, basically... Yeah, and also Thor's living in an apartment in New York City now. And, yeah, this artwork. Oh, boy. It's okay. I'd say the Captain America... The artwork for Captain America is actually pretty good. I like the colors. Yeah, the artwork of this issue is done by Ron Gardner. This artwork is really good. And then you switch to this book here, which is done by... You're probably thinking, who is the artist for this Thor issue written by a really good writer, William Messner-Lebs? The answer is Mike D. Dow Jr. Yeah, it's weird, though, that he did really good artwork at Avengers, and he does this. Like, what the heck? Seriously. What's up with the grinning teeth? Well, it's the 90s. What do you expect? So, they fight the Zodiac. And then we continue in Iron Man 326. And you're probably asking yourselves, Nick, what is up with the very young Tony Stark? Where is his mustache? Well, there is a bit of an explanation for this. During events of the Crossing, a very stupid retcon basically was revealed. That Tony Stark had been aged of King the Conqueror since the founding of the Avengers. No, seriously. So apparently because he turned evil and he died. So the Avengers brought a teenage version of Iron Man to the future. And Yeah, so Tony Stark is kind of declared dead, and you have this teenage version running around. This issue was done by Terry Navigeth, and artwork is done by 3 different artists. You have Jimmy Chung, Hector Casillo, and Steve Ellis. Yes, seriously, 3 artists for 1 Iron Man issue. Basically, just Iron Man do college hygiene stuff, and him do his armor. And some people might theorize that this first Tony Stark was used as the basis of the Iron Man Avengers TV show. I kind of enjoyed that one, but I didn't like the fact that Tony Stark was a teenager. Can't choose Iron Man show he's an adult, so yeah. And then you see him where he gets involved with the Zodiac, despite the fact they probably don't want to. But he does, and then finally lead back into the Avengers with issue 396, which basically has the cover for the trade. Now, who does this Avengers issue? Terry Kavanagh, of course. Yep. And this issue is the end of this crossover. So you could kind of say it's mostly put just the Avengers taking the Zodiac for a few very, very small. Also, we have this. Turn outside. Typical 90s. I gotta say, of the 4 parts, basically, this has the best artwork. Then we cut over to Avengers 397. Yes, for some reason, we just have Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch team up here. And this basically deals right after the events of an issue of Incredible Hulk. Now, the thing is, with this issue, Terry Kavanagh's still the writer of the book, with Howard Minky as the co-writer. I love Howard Minky's writing. I'm a big fan of his writing, his work he's done. But this is kind of odd, the fact here at the main book, Avengers. And you have Mike Dino Jr. as the artist. Good. He fits here. Like, look how he draws Thor. I mean, I'm like, okay, I get the fact he drew the Thor issue, but it's like, so weird though, the fact is our style is different. In that book, it looks too dark. Here, it looks really good. I love what he does in this book. It looks really good. So you fight this creature. Yeah, it's mostly just these two are the main focus of the issue, just Wanda and Hawkeye, and then we throw in Janet and Hank Pym, who, by the way, if you notice the outfits, he's operating as Giant Man. No, seriously, he's operating as Giant Man. Hawkeye, of course, is wearing this outfit. Yeah, he wore this out for some reason. It was 90s, so why not have this character get a redesign? And then we cut back. Basically, a lot of this trade after that 4-part wrap, so we just cut back between Iron Man and Avengers. Yep. And my only guess is the reason why I threw in, like, Avengers 397 to 400 and Iron Man, I think it's like 327, 331, because these issues themselves have nothing to do with First Sign at all, and next thing comes after this one is Onslaught. So my guess to do these in here because they need to put these issues someplace, and I guess Mar felt as though that a book featuring that collect all the Teenage Iron Man issues, my opinion, probably wouldn't sell very well. So I guess they figured, okay, so we'll throw in the book itself. Let's throw these issues in there. I mean, Thor and Captain America probably sell really well, but my guess is that I guess Mar is still to this day embarrassed by these issues. Now, my friend Edgar, he's a big Iron Man fan. From what I can tell, he is just not a fan of these issues at all. Unknown if he gets these issues or not. That's completely up to him. So this book here, 727, is mostly put the reading of the will, because they kind of declare Tony Stark dead, and this because teenagers were running around. And basically here to get parts to will are Edwin Jarvis, Tony Stark, a longtime butler. Makes sense. Janet and Henry Pym. Okay. Babbitt Argeist, his longtime assistant. Happy and Pepper. Good. James Rhodes. And Bethany Cave. Yep. So, what do they get? So, Basically, Jarvis gets... Well, basically all about Kara. Basically, the money is cherries is divided up, and of course, in the case of Barbara, she of course is pointed to the Stark board of directors. Yeah, along with Happy and Beth, and Pepper and Rhodey are executors of the will. Makes sense. Rose is basically his best friend. Pepper because he's known for a long time. So basically doing this is fortune. So you have teenage Tony at the grave of his future counterpart. Yep. So we have this whole thing with Meredith, and then we see the first scene of the name for Jawa. Yeah, that becomes a major player in Volume 3. What's the purpose of that? Well, I'll explain that later when I discuss the trade that collects... Well, I'll discuss the next one. So, and then we have more Iron Man stuff. Basically, him deal with some ice villain. Yeah, we have teenage Iron Man deal with ice villain for a couple issues. Or 327, excuse me, and 328. And this is the armor that teenage Tony Stark wears in these issues. Yes, seriously. The helmet's good. The suit itself, in my opinion, it's awful. It's really bad. It's not a good Iron Man suit. It's a big bulky suit for no reason. Yes, not a fan of it at all. So, okay, now we get to more to this. Now, the whole thing with Stark's company, basically, we have Yurkon of Furjon International. What is the purpose of this being here? They buy out Stark International. Well, they basically become partners of Tony Stark. Yeah, it's mostly set up for something to happen that basically would not be followed up with until after Heroes Reborn, which happens not long after this. And then after 2 issues of him fighting the robot, and then we cut back to Avengers for 398. Yep, where we have an issue that focuses on Wasp and Thor for an issue. Picking on Madame Mask. Yep. Really interesting issue here. Now, is Terry Kavanaugh the writer of this issue? Well, let's find out. Yes, he is, with Ben Rabb. And Mike Didal Jr. is on the artwork. Still love, I like his artwork better in Avengers than I do that one-shot issue of Thor, like I said. They have this weird thing where Deathcry and Hercules, where they're in the Quinjet, and based on this artwork, it's almost like Hercules and Deathcry are about to have sex. I'm not kidding about that. Yeah, for some reason they decided to do that. For some reason. Well, probably because why not? I mean, Deathcry is a beautiful woman. The whole thing with the attack with the mansion. Really fun issue. And then we lead into 399. Beware of the Benedict. Yeah. Who is this person basically doing this? Ben Rabb and Tarek basically still the same creative team for this issue. Well, the mansion's kind of turned against the Avengers for this issue. Yes, seriously. And then we have Janet questioning basically why Hank did this. Just save her life. That's simply the reason for it. And, well. And then we have Cap coming back. Well, you have Jarvis. Cap, I'm here next now. I was Jarvis, but Captain America needs me. And then we lead into issue 400. Which, by the way, this issue itself, with the exception of one page, has never seen the light of a trade paperback. Yes, this issue is a terrible issue. No, it's mostly just a celebration. It actually feels like a celebration issue. Now, this issue was written by Mark Waid. Yes, Mark Waid wrote this issue, who would later on write Avengers in the I think it was like 2015. With art by Mike Wendigo. Okay. Really good here. It's simple, like a trip down memory lane of like various times of Avengers over the years. And it's an absolute great, and it's a great 400th issue. That's just a big celebration of what's to come. And then there's Knock at the Door. They've been celebrating their history. Ding dong. And who's at the door? Nate Gray. What is the purpose of this page? To bring the Avengers into the Onslaught event. That is the only reason why this page is here. And this page actually has been collected 3 times now. 3 times. And Onslaught the Complete Epic. The book I have next to me right here. And like one other book. It's collected 3 times. Now, despite the fact the whole thing with Onslaught, they probably just, like I said, threw in these other Iron Man issues because, well, Marvel's not going to give an individual trade of the Teenage Iron Man, so throw them here. Yep, it ends up just going on a date. And here's the weird thing, though. I should point out, though, at one point in one of the Onslaught tie-in, the final issue of this run, young Tony hits on Pepper. Yep, he does. So most of it just the young rich kid stuff. And that's most of what we have here. We're him putting on Iron Man suit. And then issue 330, he teams up with War Machine for the third to last issue of the volume. Yes, because why not? And then we have the penultimate issue, this issue right here, where you have Terry Kavanaugh on the writing for this issue. Yeah, he mostly does other remaining issues of Iron Man just before its relaunch. Yeah. That's him mostly working on these issues, and just him just taking these various weird foes, and that's it. Kind of an odd trade to say the least, where you have a crossover and then you have, like, well, if you think about it, like 4 issues of Avengers and like 5 issues of Iron Man. Yep, that's simply what we have in here. Like, the crossover at first sign is interesting at best. Though I think it's kind of weird that unless you read the World Engine trade, you have no idea what the heck is going on with Thor. In the case of Captain America, read Operation Rebirth. It's almost like you gotta read these 3 trades before you get to this one. I only got this one simply because I wanted to view it. But with the exception of one book, they actually have pretty consistent artwork. Yeah, for around mid-1990s, it actually is pretty good. These issues all came around the year of like 96. I'm going to give this book basically a 9 out of 10. I would give it a 9.5, but that Thor issue's artwork. I love Mike Dell's artwork, but man, that artwork just was not that good. Alright, now moving on to a different book. We have X-Men / Avengers Onslaught, Book 1. Now if I can get the tray cover here. That's it right there. Yep, that's the cover. And you probably think, okay, what the heck is in this trade, you might ask? Well, to that we have to go to a different part here. Let's see. This book contains Cable 32-33 and Kenny X-Men 33-33, 35, X-Force 55, X-Man. I'll get to more of that. 15-17, X-Men 50-53-54, X-number 11, Onslaught X-Men, Avengers 401, and Fantastic Four 415. I should point out though that the writers of some of these issues are quite interesting. Jeff Loeb writes the Cable issues. Yep. And Kenny X-Men in the X-Men Limited is done by Scott Lobdell, who was the writer of the Kenny X-Men at that point. Let's see. Mostly put for a lot of these issues, it's basically just building up to the whole thing with Onslaught. That's simple what these issues are. You could say they're a prelude. Yeah, that's simply what they are. Mm-hmm. There's stuff with Psylocke in here. Yeah, and also with Bastion. Yeah, that thing got shoved aside when the whole thing related to Onslaught showed up. We have issue 55 X-Force taking on S.H.I.E.L.D. for an issue. Who does X-Force this particular time? Is it Rob Liefeld? No, it is Jeff Loeb. Yes, with Adam Padilla on the artwork. Yeah, and by the way, this is how they draw a S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier. Like, wow, what the heck is this? It's so weird. Yeah, I think that the helicarriers look so weird in that. Like, I prefer the classic design better that Kirby gave it. Mm-hmm. Then we have X-Man. Here's the weird thing of X-Man. This was originally a replacement miniseries for Cable. Yes, Cable. For about 4 issues. And then when after Age of Apocalypse, for some reason, Marvel kept this book around. And this book managed to last for 75 issues and have 4 annuals published. Now, why in the world were we this for? My guess, book was a hot seller. Now, who does the writing for this issue? John Ostrander and Terry Kavanaugh, with Steve Spruce on the artwork. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm also put for the X-Men issues in this trade here. It's mostly with him with Madeline, and of course seeing a future version of. We also have his girlfriend in the book who does not appear again after this one. Yeah. Also, he deals with the return of Genocide, which, if you see this character, you're probably thinking, wow, he looks a lot like that character Commander created for during his run for King X-Force. And that's true. There's a reason for that. This is Holocaust. That's the character's name. Don't say that. Well, he's a villain. He's basically he's Apocalypse's adopted son. And there's a character, I believe his name is Genocide. He popped up in the page of King X-Force, and I think currently he's dead. He is actually the biological son of Apocalypse. And appearance-wise, he is based upon this character. Yeah, seriously, recommended based on this one character alone. Yeah, you have some hints, just basically some weird stuff going on for these early stuff here. Yep. And the covers that pretty much the X-Men should just tacked on freaking Homicide. And then we lead into X-Men 53. We finally did with Onslaught, and here he is in his debut in X-Men Volume 255. Yeah, this is his debut. This is what he looks like. There he is, Onslaught, your main villain for this crossover, who is is basically a combination of the brain patterns of Charles Xavier and Magneto. Yeah, this came as a result of Charles Xavier trying to shut down in Magneto's mind, advents of Fatal Attractions. Yep. And this book finally has its debut. Anybody thinking, why couldn't the book start with this? Well, they had to collect the air subjects to kind of lead into some stuff related to it. Yeah. And you have stuff basically with the Juggernaut that kind of continues in the pages of Uncanny X-Men, because sometimes basically they would do this, they'll leave in their book. X-Men Limited, which is also done by Scott Lobdell. Yes, this is actually the only book aside from Uncanny X-Men he writes during this event. Mostly put for this issue, it's just basically Rogue working with Magneto for an issue. Yep. And we also have appearance by Bastion. Oh boy, Bastion. Yes, he is a Scott Lobdell character. He is a creation of he's basically an anagram of Nimrod and Master Mold. That is really the purpose of this character. And he's here to set up the very next crossover, Operation Zero Tolerance, which he was the main villain of. Yep. And by the way, Magneto something here. It's not the actual Magneto, it's Joseph. Magneto's clone. where they thought was Magneto's up in the museum. Nope, he just basically a clone. Yeah. Marvel stopped using once the Action Magneto showed up again. Yep. And then we have Cable 33. Him working with Storm. And a few other characters deal with some rocky monster. Yeah. Why not? It came with a period of time. And then finally 334, which basically deals with the return of Juggernaut, which picked right where X-Men 53 left off. Yep. Yeah, then eventually, of course, we have it leads to X-Men Volume 254. It's kind of weird, though, that we have these Uncanny X-Men issues and X-Men basically to each other. Yep. Yeah, this is when they find out that Charles Xavier is Onslaught. And what does Onslaught do? Takes out the jewel that makes Kane Marco the Juggernaut. And then we have a single page from Fantastic Four 414 where it leads into like stuff related to the events of Onslaught. Then we have that one page from Avengers 400, and then we have Onslaught X-Men, which you can kind of wait is the start of this event, where the main story is done by Scott Lobdell and Mark Waid, artwork by Andy Kubert and Dan Green. Yep, and then we have in here, the X-Men pops up in this issue. We have Iceman, Cannonball, Beast, Wolverine, Gambit, Storm, Cyclops, Phoenix. And this basically is Wolverine. You're probably thinking, what the heck is up with his claws? Well, that was due to the events of Fatal Attractions. Magneto ripped out the adamantium off his skeleton through his pores. And according to what I've heard, this was actually Peter David's idea to do this. Yes, it was his idea to do this. Why? I didn't go in detail with him when I discussed that with him. Maybe it was something new. And of course, the X encountered him for the first time. They tried fighting him, but no avail. Yeah, then you have finally the Avengers coming in. Yes, the Avengers from 401. Or basically, it's like, hey, there's been damage done, and of course the Avengers don't believe him. So they go investigate. Yep, they go investigate. Yeah, of course the school is like heavily damaged. Got this whole thing. Excuse me. And then it leads to the start of this event with Onslaught Phase 1 from Uncanny X-Men 355, where you have Orpheus, I believe is his name. Yeah, and Apocalypse is here, and he works with... He interacts with the Watcher. Yes, the Watcher. Which he probably knows about him, but to my knowledge, I think this was the first time he ever met him. And then you have the Avengers finally show up with the Xavier Institute, wondering what the heck is going on here. And of course they investigate, and of course they agree to work together to deal with Onslaught. Yep. Of course bring X-Force too, because why the heck not? And that would lead to 401, which you probably ask, does Wade write this issue? Yes, he does, with Mike DiDetto in the artwork, and Tom Palmer. Yep. So they formulate a plan to deal with Onslaught. That's really the whole point of this issue. Of course, you have Quicksilver and his father. Excuse me. Yep. And they finally deal with one issue of Fantastic Four, which seems kind of weird. Yep. This issue was done by Tom DeFalco. DeFalco had this thing where a lot of the books he was on, he would stay for a good period of time. I mean, he's noteworthy for writing a lot of Spider-Man books, but he also had a long run of Thor, probably by far one of the longest runs for Thor to date. And he worked on this book. And that was it. Working on 3 major books for Marvel. Yep. Most of the point of this issue is just basically, well, the Fantastic Four drawn into the Onslaught event. That's really the whole point of this issue, is bringing them into this event. Yep. And then we see something in the background of this issue that does not exist anymore. What is it? No, not talking about Phoenix Plus. That's destroyed a few years after this one. The Twin Towers. Yep, the Twin Towers. Who would have thunk, though, that 5 years after this, those buildings would be gone? Yep. But that just by other stuff, mind you. Yes. For the opening trade, they collect issues for the Onslaught event. It's pretty good. I give the book roughly a 10 out of 10. It's really good. Nothing really bad here, per se. No, not really. And, well, we were slowly progressing the storyline along. Yes. I just pointed this arc, or this crossover is really long. And it crosses over with pretty much almost every single Marvel book published at this point. Like, and here's the weird thing, though. After this crossover wrapped up, the X books were completely unaffected by this. But, here's the thing. All the rest of Marvel books either canceled or hit the restart button. And you think that the last decade was a recent phenomenon. Yeah, they're doing this since the 90s, but not as much as 2012. Yep. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this particular review. I think I'll say my next comic corner for tomorrow, along my few anime reviews I'm going to do tomorrow, which would be Shaman King, Case of Vantos, How Realist Over the Kingdom, and Case Closed. One episode for the whole month. Yep. Next video. Bye.